Are available as podcasts to stream or download.
I'm a bobblehead. I'm a football bobblehead. Yo, we are starting. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the Psychic and the Doc. And I'm wondering if you could figure out which one I am. My buddy Mark Anthony is joining me here today, and this is our debut show. Mark, are you like? Uh-oh, I see him coming in. Ready? I could see my Uncle Ralph just showed up right here saying, Patrizia.
Pat is great. This is, and to all the audience, welcome to the world premiere of the Psychic and the Doc. And this is going to be a great show because it's been in the evolution, if you will, for a couple of years now. And I think Dr. Pat, ever since I was on your show, the Dr. Pat show, and I'm thinking that had to be almost 10 years ago, or maybe it was 10 years ago. And we just clicked right away. And so we've been talking about how it would be great to do a show that nobody else is doing, where we combine our two unique skill sets, where, Dr. Pat is a behavioral psychologist who's got this whole street smart, intuitive sense, and have me in the second portion of the show conduct readings for callers. And then Dr. Pat chimes in with her inspirational insights. And we think that this is going to be a very empowering show for people. And that's why the subtitle of the show is called Your Practical Paranormal Power Unleashed.
Yeah, and this is really exciting. One of the things too, Mark, I want to talk about is that the evolution of pain for a minute. Yeah. One of the things that I know, and you and I have talked about, and I've talked about it a lot, which is when we go through life, there are things that happen to us. And I asked the question on the Dr. Pat show a lot about what are some of the challenges, what are some of the obstacles that you've overcome? And the reason I asked that question is because I look back at my life and I look back at some of the things that have happened. I also look back at some of the people that if they had not helped me, I would not be here today. And so it's not a coincidence that you and I are showing up in this way to support people in a way we've never done before. Bold ideas, extraordinary circumstances require extraordinary action. And that's part of what brought us together here to say that we want to meet people where they are, wherever you are, whatever the walk of life is, whatever you're thinking about. If you're in a really tough place, great. If you're not in a really tough place, that's still great because we can help you. Whatever that is, this is a time to not take the walk alone. What do you think, Mark? Honestly, thank God I didn't have to do that.
Well, it's true. It's true because no matter who you are, what station of life you're in, socioeconomic status, background, gender identity, religious background, or whatever. Everyone's got problems. Everyone has something, and it's real easy for us to look at movie stars and rock and roll stars and think, gee, I really want to be like that person. And Pat, there was something that my mother once told me, and my mother was a very gifted psychic medium, and she said to me that whenever you're depressed or sad, think of 10 people that you know. And she said, Mark, don't think about movie stars and rock and roll stars that you like, because their press agents make sure that their personal problems aren't there for us to see. But think of 10 people that you know, and then ask yourself if you'd really want to be any one of them. Do you want their family? Do you want their emotional upset, their financial problems, their drama, their trauma? And she said, and when you do that, it helps you to develop a better perspective about the things that you have, not just from the material sense, but from the emotional and mental skill set. And that's part of what we're here to do, is to help people realize that no matter what discord they think is in their life, that's the hand of cards that they've been dealt with. And we're going to help them and hopefully guide them to play the right cards.
I love this, because one of the things I want to talk to you about is the idea and the work that the team did, and we sat down and we thought about, what do we want people to know about the show? And we came up with Rocky, of course, is in the background, Linda, Jessica, David, who did that beautiful opener. What is this show? Practical, paranormal, power. So let's talk about practical for a minute, because I am a quadruple Sagittarian. I will say I do have my moon and a bunch of planets in Capricorn, just for people to know. But in the end, practical doesn't mean what people think it means. So when they think about practical, they don't think about the magnitude of it, right? So they think about practical means I don't take risks. Practical means I don't step out. Practical, look, one of my mentors, Herbert Benson, wrote a book a bunch of years ago. This was the man that pointed me in the direction. And he wrote this book. And it's a book that he wrote back at, he went to the University of California, but he also Harvard. So he writes this book. And he writes this book about the response, right? And it's a book, comes out, and he's a psychology guy, and he writes this book, and it's about epigenetics and yoga, and he's like writing a book, and he's like, oh, I should be writing about psychology. And he comes out with the book, and he says, I'm going to tell you about the connections in the brain. So he's got this book about the response, the emotional response, what we can do. He calls it the relaxation response. So here you have this person over here, Dr. Herbert Benson, and he comes out and he writes a book. So I'm thinking, I'm going to be able to use this book for something in my schooling. No. So he writes the book, and the book talks about the number of connections in the brain. And so this is a conversation about practicality for a moment. And he says, listen, your brain, you know how many connections your brain has? Think about this. I'm sitting here and I got my studio desk, and you got your desk, and we all got the desk. And he says, I want you to stack pieces of paper, like the white, like you got the paper for the printer. And he's like, put the paper, like stack it, paper, 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 paper. And he said, you're going to stack that paper, and you're going to stack it. It's going to go to the moon. Nope, you're not done yet. These are the connections in your brain. You're thinking, how many pieces of paper would get me from here to the moon? And then he goes on and he said, keep going. Now keep stacking the paper. And now let's go past the moon to the planet formerly known as Pluto. And he said, you're not done yet. Now keep stacking the paper, right? So it's a practical conversation about the magnitude of power we have in our brain. Hence, practical power. And he says, keep going. I want you to keep going. Like, how far do you want to keep going? And so I want you to keep going, because I want you to go into like the 100 galaxies. Just go. Just get out there and go into the galaxies. In the end, what he says, which blew everybody away, is that if you did that, and he is a pioneer in meditation, if you did that it's at least 100 trillion connections. And he gave a number, and I'm not going to read the number. The number is 25, and then you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 groups of zero. Practical power. Now, when you take that, you think about our capacity. Let's talk about the paranormal, because that takes you to a place you can't count.
Yeah, the paranormal is actually quite normal. And the thing is, and Dr. Pat, you and I have had this discussion on your show a number of times, is women's intuition. Okay. I know every guy I know say that, my wife or my girlfriend or my sister or my mom, they always have this intuitive sense. And growing up with parents who were psychic mediums, I'd like to ask all the male listeners, what about your gut instinct? And if you talk to first responders, military personnel, they all talk about that gut instinct. And the fact of the matter is that all of us have the ability to pick up on vibration and frequency around us. Now, we call it the paranormal because paranormal means outside of our normal experience. And with the fact that, we got Halloween in a couple days, and for centuries, people believe that the veil between this side and the other side is somehow thinner during this time of the year, and that this is the time of year when a lot of people talk about the paranormal. Let me address that real quick. That would assume, okay, assuming that the veil between this side and the other side is closer, that would assume that the entire universe, and not just the universe, but according to string theory, the multiverses are all dependent upon a Northern European Celtic agricultural observance, which is harvest. All right, so that's a bunch of nonsense. The truth is that the other side, spirits are around us constantly because it's a different frequency and a different dimension. And we can all tap into that. And that's why women's intuition is the same thing as gut instinct. You talk to military personnel, they will all tell you that if you don't trust your gut, and cops will tell you this, and firefighters. So we all have this intuitive sense. And so helping people to recognize these signs within them, that takes the practical, which is our logical left brain, if you will, workings of the brain, combining it with our right brain emotional intuitive sense. And when you start integrating these into your life, that leads to not just power, but empowerment over your own life. Because I think, Dr. Pat, that one of the greatest fears and insecurities people have is that they don't feel that they're in control of their own lives. What do you feel?
Let me tell you, I mean, and let's just talk about that, because um, the stigma about not feeling in control of your life, I want to address it with everybody out here. I want to just address something right now. So, like, go inside your gut for a moment, right? Let's just do this for a moment. And let's ask yourself, what is it like in the world you're living in right now, right? And you ask yourself, man, I got the two kids over here, not going back to work. I got COVID, COVID's on the rise. And you feel that. And somebody might tell you, I don't feel that. You're not supposed to feel that. Don't feel that. Really? Don't feel it? Are you kidding me? The question is, how do you feel it and still catapult your life to an amazing level? How do you do that? Then, how do you take the practical, paranormal, and the power within you and pop that stuff together to really come forward in a way that allows you to dream, that allows you to look at your life? And that's why we decided to do this show. That's why when you hear us talk about this, this is a live call-in show. We are going to have guests, you bet. But we are connecting with all of you. And as a matter of fact, if you would like to call in, 1-800-930-2819, because there's something else we need to tell folks. A lot of times people do shows like this. They say, oh, we're going to talk about this, but Mark, we're not going to talk about this thing. Well, can't talk about that. Maybe we're going to talk about this, but don't talk about that. What did you say when we were coming up with talking about the show? What did you say about the topics?
that all subjects are on the table and no topic is taboo. And it's very important because, I mean, think of the state of turmoil that our country and that the world is in right now. People are being shaken to their very core, their belief systems, their sense of security, their fears. And we are creating in this show, The Psychic and the Doc, a forum for people to call in and ask us for our advice, for our guidance on these things that are shaking them
Yep.
up. And that's why we're not going to say, oh well, we can't talk about that because that's paranormal, or we can't talk about that because that's religious, or we can't talk about that because that involves some type of sexual moray or whatever. And that's why no topic is taboo.
You know, when I graduated school, we're going to pick up on this when we come back from break. When I graduated school and when I went off and I said, I think I'm going to be a clinical psychologist, went off, moved to Seattle. I thought Seattle, oh yeah, it's great. And this was not too long ago. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna like, I studied broken promises. There's an element of spirituality we need to address. The experience people are going through. Yeah, there's the mind and there's the psychology and there's all the whatever the labels are. But I want to talk about how to get to that deep place. The board said no, no, you can't do that. You cannot practice and do that. And I said, great. I didn't go to school not to help people. So I'm not going to become a clinical psychologist. That's going to be for somebody else. I'm going to do something that allows people to lean into their body, their mind, their spirit, that which you can see and that which you don't. I'm going to help folks understand that our perception of the world can literally open up the doors. When we come back, we're going to talk about the evolution of how Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, and me, Dr. Pat, how we came together. And that this is a forum for everybody out there. And I got to tell you, we have pretty good fun on this because it's interesting to think about what happens when you graduate from a school and you get a psychology degree and you go out and you have your hands extended and you've got two things in your hand, and then your dean wants to blacklist you because he thinks they're crystals. What do you do next? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Great to have you. Welcome to The Psychic and the Doc. I am loving doing this show. We have been working on this show, but it's an idea whose time has come. And it's interesting when you get two people like us, right? Myself and then Mark, and here we are, and we have these other worlds that we live in, right? I have a certain venue and what I do every day, and most of you know me from the Dr. Pat show or something else at Power Up. Mark, is the psychic lawyer and, the psychic explorer, radio, television, all of it. So the question would come up, what? What are you two doing together? Like, what? And the answer is a paranormal and psychic answer, Mark. Go ahead.
It actually, like I was saying before, it evolved over time, but it was the last time I was on tour in Seattle. And I was in studio with Dr. Pat, and we got to the portion of the show where, okay, we're opening up for callers, and people would call in, and I started doing readings on them. And there was one caller in particular who was extremely distraught. And I connected her with loved ones, and she was so immersed in her grief. And I knew that she was contemplating taking her own life. And then all of a sudden, I delivered her the message. And Dr. Pat said, well, here's what I'm seeing about this. And so Dr. Pat started giving her this very inspirational, uplifting counseling. And then it went back to me, and I got another message from her deceased loved one. And then it went back to Dr. Pat. And both of us, and my manager, Rocky, was with me, and Linda was there, and the recording engineer, we could tell this woman's voice went from this very, very depressed, sad state and started coming up and up and up. And it's like the sun rose in her soul. And when that show was over, we sat down and said, wait a second, no one else is doing anything like this. And the thing is, there's a lot of shows, like we say in the intro, there's shows with lawyers, there's shows with psychics, there's shows with doctors, but there's no show like the psychic and the doc. And what's really fascinating about this, when I'm doing readings for people, information will come through. Many times it is not immediately recognizable to them. It takes time for them to process it. And that's the period after the reading that I call the unfolding. But oftentimes the issue is that the person that's receiving the message, first off, they're not hearing what they think they want to hear or what they want to hear, or they're so close to their problem and their dilemma or their grief or whatever the issue is that it's clouding their judgments. And because I'm in the link with the spirits, I can't always jump back into the left brain material world to start interpreting for them. But Dr. Pat has this fresh set of objective eyes, not only as a behavioral psychologist, but also with years of just an amazing, and at times, Pat, I have to admit, you've had an extremely difficult life.
It's called baggage.
Okay,
it's years
baggage.
Of carrying baggage. Let me just do it.
Yes, baggage.
Wait, let me do it. I'm gonna get into I was in that music video, so I'm a little bit like that. Baggage. It's baggage, but it's not baggage when you're going through it, Mark. But thank you for bringing that up, because we're going to talk about that today too, right?
Well, and the thing is, people always say, "Well, my life is so difficult," or my loved one died, and I'm just devastated. And the truth is, we grow in response to adversity, because if everything were just perfect all the time, we'd be burping rainbows. Okay, and that and that isn't life. And the problem is, a lot of people surrender and they buckle under the pressure. And instead of confronting their issues, their problems, or seeking positive guidance, they can turn to drugs, alcohol, impulsive behaviors, violence. And that certainly is a way of dealing with your issues, although it's not the proper way of dealing with it. And Pat and I have both see this. Certainly in her work as a psychologist, my work as a former prosecutor, and then as a criminal defense attorney. I was on a lecture, and I was about to do an event, and I mentioned how recently in that city, some psycho walked into a movie theater with a machine gun and shot like 50, 60 people and killed a good 24 people. And I referred to the guy as a dirtbag. And then and when it was over, some new agey type, and she goes, "Well, I'm a medium too, and you're not supposed to, do public judgments." And it's like, look, I don't live in the Republic of Kumbaya, running around flinging flowers and granola at people. I've sat across the table from psychotics who were restrained, and I remember one of them looked me right in the eye and said, "If I wasn't handcuffed, I'd slit your throat." So I don't live in an airy-fairy Republic of Kumbaya, new agey world. I have been there on the front lines. I've dealt with everything from misdemeanors to premeditated first-degree murders, from people from my reverence towards spirituality and towards spirit communication. And that's one of the reasons that I clicked with Dr. Pat, because she's not one of these ivory tower psychologists like, "Oh, let's go to the Freudian Pez dispenser and it must be your mother's problem." She's like, "Look, you are feeling this way because of." And so we felt that it wasn't just a partnership, it's synergy. And the sum of the parts is greater than the individual pieces could ever be. And so that's why we believe that the time for this show is now. I've never seen our country and our world on the verge of such discord, and that's why we're doing this.
I'm older than you, so I think I have. I mean, hey, look, I was at Stonewall. And I'm gonna tell you, people ask me about that. I never talk about it. The only reason it's come up recently is because one of our hosts' daughter that I met came on one of the Zoom meetings we had, and she said, "Hey, meet my daughter. My daughter's doing a paper on Stonewall." And I looked at this maybe 12, 13-year-old, and I said, "Oh my gosh, are you?" I said, "Are you? Is your teacher like really like doing that?" And so I thought for a minute the history of what we've come through had been lost. We're just being remembered. We're remembering now. See, people look at the world and they think we've never been through this before. We have never quite been through this before with the kind of support we are getting or not getting. I'm just saying. I live in the state of Washington, and this is not a political statement, folks. If it wasn't for my governor, I wouldn't be in business today. And you could say what you want about that, whether it's a mask or no mask, right? But we're learning about things now. And my mama, I bet she's going to come through right all over you right here. Mama Doris, my stepmama. Let's take a short break. When I come back, we're gonna talk about the making of the man, the making of the psychic lawyer, and the making of this woman from the projects New York. What qualifies us to talk to you, a person that may be sitting trying to pay the bills, or maybe you're an executive or a stockbroker? What enables us to say, we feel you? When we come back, we're going to tell you about the heart. And this is the only show we're probably going to do this. This is our first show. But we're going to talk from the heart and just let all of you know that some of the stories are pretty hilarious. They're painful at the time, but when you look back and you think that, why did your mama throw that pogo stick at you? Well, that's going to be a funny thing to talk about. Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Thank you for joining us here on The Psychic and the Doc. This is our debut show. It's one of many we're going to do, and we're kind of giving you a backdrop for what it is that we wanted to do to step up to help all of you. And, some of this is really funny. I mean, I'm not kidding. I went to California, Mark, but before we do that, first, how do people find out more about you? Let's get them over to your website. Let's tell them what you do to make yourself available to work with them one-on-one. And then David's going to kick up some folks that want to get a reading.
Absolutely. My website is evidenceofeternity.com, just like my last book, Evidence of Eternity. And you can find out about the next time the Psychic and the Doc will be on. You can also order my books, Never Letting Go and Evidence of Eternity, and sign up for a telephone reading with me. And since this is our world premiere, if people mention the premiere of the Psychic and the Doc, you'll qualify for a reduction in the fee on a one-on-one telephone session with me. So that's all on my website, evidenceofeternity.com.
And I'm Dr. Pat. If you want to find out more about me right now, the best place to go is the Dr. Pat Show or Transformation Talk Radio. You're going to be hearing a lot more, but that's on another show in days to come. We are taking your calls at 1-800-930-2819. We're going to talk stories, but before we get to that, David, and I just want to say something else that's really cool. David says, no, I'm going to say this. So David, please hold on to fasten your seatbelt. Even though this is a 1-hour show, if we have to go longer to handle your questions, we will go longer. Why? Because I own the network, I guess, and because I just thought of it. I don't know.
And because sometimes your problems just don't fit into into a segment.
Yeah.
So,
and I think people are feeling this out. They're like, I know that Mark Anthony dude, but who's this one over here? What's up with her hair? And like, is she really wearing pink? And there's the story behind the pink. But now,
why don't you tell us the story behind the pink?
Let's go. We got to get a reading in here. We got people like, I want to talk to Mark.
Okay, great. I'm ready.
They're like, stop talking. David, who do we have?
Yeah, we have a Facebook message actually from the chat saying, I would love a message from Mark Anthony, and that's from Jamie Smith.
Hi,
Smith.
Jamie.
Hey, Jamie. Well, is she calling in?
She's on Facebook,
She's on
so I
Facebook.
don't know if she even knows to call in. You can actually call in, Jamie. We
Yeah,
set
give
up
her
a
the number because,
I'll give
people
her-
ask, well, I'd like a message. Okay. The message could be you're going to have pizza sometime in the next year. And I don't mean to be facetious, but
Let
the
me
thing,
tell you something. If you gave me that message, you would if you gave me the pizza message, all of my doctors would be like, no. And I would be like, yes. They would be like, no, you're like gluten free. You can't have the pizza. And I would be like, yes, Mark said it.
well, there
1-800.
is gluten-free pizza.
Oh my God, don't even go there. I'm from New York. You cannot talk to me about that.
Yeah.
Jamie, 1-800-930-2819 if you'd like to call in. We got folks here. They're really cool. They'll talk to you and they'll get you in. But in the meantime, let's see what might Mark come up with. Because
Let me.
Jamie's
tell
like, I'm
people.
going to call in. Jamie,
Okay.
I will call in.
What people need to realize is I'm a medium. That means I connect with the spirits of your deceased loved ones on the other side. Because a lot of people want to call in and find about their love life and career because everybody wants to know about their love life and career. The thing is, spirits may bring that up or they may not. Okay, so I'm not a fortune teller. And the thing is, everything that I do is about frequency. So when I open up my brain to higher frequencies, spirits are going to come forward. And the reason that, we're asking people to call in is because once I hear them, their voice, their vibrational,
They're calling in now, dude.
then I can connect. All
They're
right.
calling in now. We're going to
All
go right to the phones, but I just want to say I would never ask you about a love life. You know why?
Why?
0. Don't have one. Trying to love myself. David, who do we have?
Which is an important lesson.
Sure, we have Victor from Seattle.
Hey, Victor, welcome to the show.
Hello?
Hey, welcome, Victor. How you doing?
Oh, doing good.
Hey, how can we help you today?
So I guess in the spirit of Halloween, wanted to ask kind of a spooky question. I experimented with a Ouija board a month ago, 6 weeks ago, and had actually kind of a disturbing experience with it. And then afterwards, felt like maybe negative energy was following me for a while. Just kind of wanted to hear what you guys thought about Ouija boards.
Okay.
If they're real.
Yeah, that's a
like
great question. We could be twins, Victor. Let me turn that over to Mark to start it us.
Yeah, first off, a Ouija, spirit communication needs to be approached seriously and with reverence. And where do you buy a Ouija board? You can buy it at some type of store, or more often than not, a toy store. Also, a Ouija board, you have to remember, is a piece of wood. And the planchette, which is the little device that you put your fingers on with you or some other people, and it moves around. So the thing is, you're the one that draws spirits into the reading, not the Ouija board. And sometimes a Ouija board can be a conduit for non-human spiritual intelligence, like elementals and spirits that are more connected with plants and earth energies and animals. I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in the devil, and I don't believe in all that primitive Bronze Age and Iron Age nonsense that religions use to scare people. So it's not unusual for people to think that, the Ouija board was a conduit for negativity. Did you pray? Did you ask to be enveloped in light? Did you ask God only to send forth spirits for the highest of purposes? And so that's what I do before I engage in spirit communication. And I've conducted over 15,000 readings, and I've never had the boogeyman come through yet. So I wouldn't be so worried about that, but I would not. Legitimate medium doesn't need it. So what also happens a lot of times with the Ouija board is, when the planchette's moving around, you're actually projecting your own subconscious fears and feelings there. And so that's why you're getting this negative feedback. Pat, what do you think?
I'll tell you what I think. Victor, you still there?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let me tell you what I think, because this is part of the thing of it. First of all, I want to acknowledge you for your intuitive insight and the pickup on it, because I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life that shares something like that. There wasn't a modicum of truth to it. So let's just talk about that. What I've learned about this is, and I wonder about this, and I wonder if you wouldn't mind answering the question. When you sat down with the board, do you remember what your
Why did I
energy
sit
was?
down with it?
Yeah, when you went to work with the Ouija board, do you remember how you were feeling? Were you afraid? Was there something in your life? Were you really looking for an answer? Was somebody already like hanging around? Do you remember that feeling at all? Some people do, some people don't.
For me, it was curiosity, and so we did a couple sessions with it, and at first it felt really positive, but then it sort of veered into a really negative place. But I went into it wanting to just kind of, have an interesting experience and maybe learn something.
Yeah. So this is what I want to say about it, and from a very, how should I say it? From a very practical and energetic. You are really tuned in. Do you know that, Victor? Do you know you're really tuned in? You know what I mean by tuned in? You like get the connection like Zoom immediately, right? That's what's happening. You got the first connection. Anytime that I try to redo something or think, or I get that first connection, it says, go do that, Pat. Yeah, go skydiving or start this or do that. That first connection is the one. When I go back to do it again, I usually get something I wasn't looking for. My advice to you is delete the second. It's the first one that wanted to give you that attention, right? That's the one I would lean into. And I want to say this. For me, anytime I've doubted myself or doubted other people that wanted to help me, it has cost me dearly. And what I want to say to you is whatever that first message was, I would really spend some time with it. And you can always call back next week and we could see what the expanded nature of that is, Victor. Make sense? Got it?
Yeah, thank you for
All
your
right.
time.
Thanks, Victor. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, Victor. Appreciate it.
Yeah, David.
Yes, ma'am.
Who else do we have? Did
We
Jamie
actually
call in?
have Jamie. Yeah, you want to talk to Jamie?
Of course.
All right, we'll put Jamie on. Hey, Jamie, you're on with Mark Anthony and Dr. Pat on The Psychic in the Doc.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Jamie, how you hitting them?
We are doing well over here. How are you?
Good. I'm going to turn you over to Mark.
Hey, Jamie, how you doing?
Perfect.
What can I help you with?
I am just kind of looking for just an open kind of direction type of connection, if that makes sense. But I do think pizza sounds lovely for dinner, so I thought I should call in because I have been actually struggling, which is kind of funny, with what to make for dinner. So
I could tell you what to make for dinner right now,
that'd be great. 'Cause I'm really
I could go ahead
confused.
and
I'm not
mark.
sure.
right? I could like tell you. Right
I'm
now.
not really sure what your question is. You're asking me to contact the other side to tell you what to make for dinner?
No, she's asking me about the dinner.
Okay.
I'm the one that gets the dinner question.
I'm
So
looking
here's
for,
my
like,
answer
kind of
to the dinner
clear-
question. There's a connection with someone, and Mark's going to connect you with that person. And that
love it.
person somehow in your life was part of some kind of food experience. Let me give you an example. Every time my grandmama Balella comes in, like she came, like I was doing a show on aromatherapy today, really? And Mama Balilla comes in because she wants me to tell everybody how she made us wear oregano olive oil on our face, right? In the middle of an interview about aromatherapy with a best-selling author, like an expert, right? Out of my mouth comes that. And then I couldn't get it back. So somehow there's someone that has passed that shares some kind of food connection. With me, Mama Balella was about the meatballs, and now I cannot stop thinking about meatballs. And because my doctor said now that I could have like the meatballa, I have got to get all the right ingredients because I know if I make the meatball and I don't follow her, I'm going to be, but it's her. It's her. So I wonder for you, I do believe someone is trying to talk to you about what to make for dinner. That's why you can't decide. But I think the message is even deeper than that. I think there is some connection somewhere with some experience you've had that touches your heart so deeply that they want to share something with you to help you move forward in a certain way. Mark, I don't know.
All right,
Jamie, I don't know.
all
Am
right,
I
hold
even
on.
close?
Jamie, there's a male energy coming in connected to you. And what I'm getting is he feels like he could be on the generation above you, which could be the parent level. Sometimes it could be the grandparent level because all grandfathers are fathers, but not all fathers are grandfathers. But male energy coming in, and I'm feeling with his cause of passing, massive pressure buildup in my head. I mean, it feels like almost my head's going to come apart, but I'm also getting that in tandem with rapid and irregular heartbeat. So he very well could have been having a heart attack. He could have been also having the stroke heart attack combo because I'm feeling a numbness running down the whole left side of my body. And the thing is, it didn't take him right away. It took him some time to pass. So this hit him, and then he was in an impaired state. I'm also feeling pressure and pain at the bottom of my rib cage on the right side. So it's also affecting his liver. And certainly this gentleman was on a lot of medications leading up to this because I'm tasting this metallic sensation in my mouth. Does this make any sense to you?
Yes, my grandfather on my mom's side.
Okay.
Military? Was he a military man?
Yes.
Okay, let me keep working with him. It's funny when Pat was talking about oregano and olive oil.
On my face, not eating it. Grandma would throw that. We'd smell like a giant pizza in kindergarten.
All right, hold on. I'm getting this massive infusion of garlic. Now, the reason I'm asking this, Jamie, is there some issue with you with garlic? In other words, like you love it or you have almost an aversion to it?
I love garlic.
Okay, you love garlic. All right, hold on. This grandfather is talking to me about what's going on with you physically. And the weird thing is, when I say weird, I don't mean in the negative. Well, I'm getting like these tremors and shakes in my hands. And I'm also getting a sense of unsteadiness. And I'm tasting a lot of sodium, and I'm feeling blood pressure anomalies. You know if there's anything going on with your blood pressure, and are you having any type of shakes or tremors? And the thing is, sometimes the shakes and tremors could also be like low blood sugar. You know, people are hypoglycemic or pre-diabetic can get like that. Does any of this make sense to you?
I do actually take blood pressure medication.
Bingo.
And
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's coming through, and what he's telling us is that the reason you were thinking about what to make for dinner and all this because obviously the food's associated with family, but he's telling you that the blood pressure medication needs to be regulated, and he's also telling me that even though you're taking it, you're not actually modifying your diet to compensate because there's a lot of people, and what he's telling me is, your attitude is, and this is not being judgmental, he's here to help you. He said that you're eating whatever you want to eat because you think that the blood pressure medication is going to do the job. And what he's saying is, no, you've got to start making these dietary changes, which is why you've got to watch out for the sodium and watch out for the other high cholesterol type of foods. Also, because you want to stay away from things with the shaking, the tremors, which could actually lead to stroke and heart attack. So this is what I call spirit intervention, where the spirit of this grandfather is coming through to help you, to guide you away from that course to a very healthy one. And that's why it's all focusing on food. And that's why Dr. Pat was saying what she was saying as well, because there is somebody here that is equated with food. And it's not just with the love and food connection, it's also with your health.
Oh, okay. So can I give you the recipe I'd like you to think about cooking? Jamie?
Of course.
Do you eat meat?
Yes.
Chicken? Do you eat chicken?
I do eat chicken, yeah.
All right, here's a recipe because this is the thing that I got when you were talking. So there is a garlic chicken recipe that, you know, not Grandmama Bolella. She didn't put this. This is now the other grandmother. This is the most delicious thing. And it should be good for you for the blood pressure. Okay. So it is really simple, really delicious. Just do not put it over any kind of pasta or gluten. And I'm going to help you with that. You get the chicken, you cut it up, right? I want you to take the chicken, cut it up, put it in a bag, plastic bag, glass bowl. Then I want you to literally get yourself either the ground up garlic or a half of whole bulb of garlic. You with me?
Mhm.
I want you to mash them up, right? Then in the pan, what I want you to do is, if you want to keep the whole glycemic thing down, either avocado oil, coconut oil, something like that, in the pan. Hit that garlic, right? Little bit of salt, little bit of pepper. But if you have either oregano oil, or something like that, put a couple of that in there. So I want you to get that going. You have an onion? I want you to take the onion, cut the onion up, put it in with the garlic. So I want you to do that first. Then what I want you to do is add a little bit of chicken broth if you have it. If you don't have chicken broth, water's okay. Then what I want you to do is put the chicken in. And the chicken is sliced up. You put it in. You are not going to cook that for an hour. That's just going to cook till you get it done. When you're done, you should have this chicken, garlic, onion, seasoned to taste. Whatever herb you want to throw in there, just chuck them in. Right? What do you then put that over? Well, if you don't have pasta, and you shouldn't eat pasta like me, but I can have pizza in a year, thanks to Mark. What you want to do is you want to experiment. Broccoli. How do you cook the broccoli? Well, I throw the broccoli right in with that garlic. Cut the broccoli up small enough so it almost acts like something you put it on. And just put it in there, saute it for a few minutes, and there you go. Now somehow I think your grandfather, this had to be like a thing he did, but that is when you were talking about it, that is the recipe that came up. And I got to tell you, I haven't made that recipe for myself in years.
Hey, Pat, brown rice, is that safe on a gluten-free diet?
It should be. But you know, when you're looking your blood pressure, you want to just watch your carbs.
Oh,
Right,
carb, yeah.
Yeah, brown rice is good. How does that sound? And that takes like 10 minutes to make there, Jamie.
Oh, it sounds delicious, and I do love to cook, so that sounds like something I should be trying here this week for sure.
All right. When are we coming over? When are we going to go over? When are we going to Jamie's? Mark, what do you think?
Oh, let me tell you, if I could be there, I'd say,
I'll be
let's
there
go.
right now. Jamie, thank you so much. Did we get you covered here?
No, that's fantastic. Thank you very much to both of you.
Oh, you bet. Hey, everybody,
right,
we're going to
thank
take a break, but we're going to do an extended version of the show. Normally, the show would end, but we're not going to end it. We've got a couple of other people that want to talk, want to call in. This is our debut show. I hope Mark doesn't have any other appointments.
We're just getting warmed up. I mean,
we're getting warmed
this
up.
is our premiere. Let's do it. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, 1-800-930-2819. I'm going to tell you why I have nightmares about my pogo stick. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. I'm liking that rock vibe. Thank you. Thank you, Rocky. Rocky's like a person. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Psychic and the Doc. I'm here with my friend and colleague, the most amazing Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. I am Dr. Pat, host of the Dr. Pat Show. Debbie, Sandra, we're going to get right to you. We're extending the show another hour because we knew this was new to everybody. And we thought, well, we don't want to cut people off. That's not the way we roll. So for those of you out there, if you're thinking I'm on Facebook, these folks are going to go away, we're not. You know, we said this earlier. This is a show for all of you. No topics taboo. We'll do our best. Mark, how do people find out more about you? What do you want to say to everybody?
Well, please visit my website, evidenceofeternity.com, and you can find about booking a one-on-one session with me through my website, evidenceofeternity.com. Make sure you click on phone reading section. And because this is the premiere, the world premiere of the Psychic and the Doc, if you mention the Psychic and the Doc in the application form, you'll be qualified for a reduction in the fee for a session with me. And also you can find out about my books and other events that I've got. And, I can't say enough good things about Dr. Pat. Let me tell you, I've had to work with a lot of psychologists throughout my professional career as an attorney and even as a medium. And she does rings around all of them. She cuts through all the BS, gets right to the heart of the matter. And she does it without drawing blood. That's really cool. Emotionally, that is.
I love that. I love that because I've had a few blood draws myself here in my life. All right, David is doing an amazing job, and we said we are going to keep rolling today. So, David, who do we want to go to next?
We got Sandra.
All right. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Hey, Sandra, you're on the show with Dr. Pat and Mark Anthony on The Psychic and the Doc.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
did I get that right? Is it
extending the
Sandra or
show.
is it Sandra? Because I have a friend and she says, I'm Sandra. Don't call me Sandra.
I'm Sandra. Don't call me Sandra.
Sweet.
Opposite.
That's like the New York. That's a Sandra. Okay, I'm going to turn you over to Mark. How can we help you today?
My goodness, thank you. I do have your book, by the way, or Never Letting Go.
Oh, thank you. I
That's a good
appreciate
one.
that. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Thank you. I don't even know where to begin. I've had so many experiences through the years. However, I did have a situation where I had an out-of-body experience as I was driving on the highway, leaving work one afternoon. This was many years ago.
Right.
And it's never left me, and I've often wondered what the meaning of that was, because I did see other people, and I felt my body actually suck back into, like a vacuum, rejoin my body, and I was like 3 miles back from where I remember getting off the highway. It was just a whole bizarre experience, but a lot of spiritual things began opening up after that. So I just wondered if you had any insight on that, or any mediumistic connections.
Hold on. We got a whole list of things here to talk about. First off, your OBE, your out of body experience. It's something that everybody is capable of experiencing. Many people do this in the dream state. It's also known as an astral projection, where basically your spirit, your soul, is kind of going for a bit of a ride. And now, usually, this is a great thing. Not so much when you're driving. Okay,
Right.
wow, there's a story I could tell about that. But let's focus on you first. It's not unusual what you experienced. You're not crazy. You're not. There's nothing wrong with you. This is what we're talking about. Practical paranormal power. And the reason that this can happen when you're driving is because when you're driving, it's a very left-brained activity. That's where your logical brain is all focused on judging distance and making decisions and operating the motor vehicle. And sometimes you will get into a state where when your brain waves, and right now we're in the beta state, and there's beta and there's gamma, which is very high functioning beta. And that is the brain, or those are the brainwave frequencies that govern what we can call left-brained functions, very analytical, very practical type of activities. And so what was going on there is that part of your brain was so focused that the right brain started drifting into the alpha state, and that enabled you to have an astral projection out-of-body experience. It is not unusual for people who go into that state to encounter the spirits of deceased loved ones, or possibly spirit guides, angelic entities, and other phenomena such as that. So actually, that was a pretty cool thing. If you ever find yourself drifting into that again, go with it. Unless you're driving, you need to make a concerted effort to pull yourself back. And then I'm not being funny or or sarcastic by saying that, simply because you could cause an accident. You could kill yourself or somebody else, or get really hurt. And now I had something like that happen to me. I was 19 years old, and I was going to college at the University of Central Florida, and I was driving home to see my parents, and going down this highway called 520, State Road 520, and it takes about, from where I was leaving to get to Interstate I-95, it takes about 45 minutes from where I was going. All of a sudden, I realized I was on I-95. There was a complete half hour of my life that I have no idea how I was able to get to 95. I have no recollection of it. And yes, I was in college, but that particular day I wasn't drinking or anything else. And the funny thing is, I actually had a discussion with someone that I'm hoping to have on our show, who is considered one of the most credible alien abductees on record. And I remember what she said to me. She goes, "Mark, I think you need to go through hypnosis to find out what really happened in that ensuing half hour." So I'm not saying that you were abducted by aliens, but the thing is, an out-of-body experience / astral projection is not an unusual thing, and you should look at that experience as a gift.
Hey, Sandra, can I jump in? Mark, do you mind?
Absolutely, go for it.
Hey, Sandra, can I tell you something?
Of course. Please.
Very few people know what I'm about to say to you. I did share it today with Stephanie, who is the Dream Master. She's amazing. And we were talking about the fact that some people dream at night and some people don't. So the vision to expand the network about in the transformation network and what you're going to see in January happened on a ride back from my KKNW station. I don't know if it was after being with Mark or not. Could have been. And I'm getting on the I-90, and the I-90 is this bridge, and it's a bridge across the Lake Washington, right? Beautiful, beautiful. But on a sunny day, you cannot see. And what happened to me was I'm about midway, and my windshield lights up, and it has an image similar to the image you see in the opener of me standing between two posters. And it outlines all of the channels, what they should be called. Now, mind you, I hadn't even launched the network yet. All the channels, what they should be called: Soulmate Radio, right? Transformation Talk Radio, the Cosmos channel about the cosmos, Psychic Talk Radio, Women's Channel, God Talk channel. It was all there. And Mark's right. I mean, I'm telling you, I almost ended up in Lake Washington, because it was so vivid. And at the time, I was really scared and confused. But by the time I got across the bridge and got back to what was my office at the time, I sat down and I wrote about it, and then other things lined up. Now, I'm not saying that's the case for you. I just wonder, right, Mark? Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I just wonder.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that, Mark?
You know, these experiences happen when they're supposed to happen. And I think that you have to rely on your gut. But still, like you said, you almost ended up in Lake Washington. You know, it's time, place, and manner. It's like mediums that, and we see this on some of the TV shows where, you know, mediums run and go, "Hi, I'm a medium," blah, 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 and they start flinging a reading at somebody who's, you know, in the produce department picking out cabbages. Well, that person's there to select a cabbage, not to all of a sudden deal with their emotional and grief issues. So time, place, and manner. So I think it's a good idea that if you're going to be engaging in out-of-body experiences, astral projections, that it be done in a safe, controlled environment at home. Also, I know about the Monroe Institute. William Bowman, a friend and colleague of mine, actually, he endorsed my book, Evidence of Eternity, and he just wrote an endorsement for my upcoming next book. And the Monroe Institute teaches people and guides people on how to engage in an out-of-body experience. And so not only do you learn how to do it properly, but you learn how to do it and then get the most out of it. Because these altered states that we can go into, whether it's spirit communication, out of body experience, a shared or near death experience, after death communication, there's several different types of, there are several different forms of touching the higher frequency of the other side. Should be approached with reverence and, if possible, under, I call them controlled conditions, so that you get the most out of it. So that's why running into a produce department and flinging a reading at someone picking out cabbages is not the ideal scenario for that person to get the maximum benefit out of it. And that's one of the reasons we created this forum, which we call the Psychic and the Doc, because this is the appropriate place to call in for the type of advice that Pat and the connections that hopefully we'll be able to provide for you.
And Sandra, I want to say this. We look forward to hearing back from you in a number of weeks, and just give us an update. So thank you so much for calling in. Thank you. And I want to say this to everybody. We're going to go to the phones again. We have 2 other people waiting. One of the things I've learned about doing this for 16 years and not knowing what I was doing was that the connection with the best listening audience on the planet, that's what we have. The connection with you all. You may not know how many other hearts you are touching right now. And it doesn't matter what the question is. It doesn't matter what the topic is. You're touching a heart. And so your pay it forward energy is so important to us. And we have extended this hour because we knew that that was our commitment to you. And I'm going to go right to David. Let's go ahead and skip the 15, David, if we could. We'll break a little bit later because we got a couple of folks waiting. So who, David, would you like to go to next?
Sure. We have, hold on, let's see. Oh. We have Debbie from Illinois. Debbie, you're on with Dr. Pat and Mark Anthony on the Psychic and the Doc Show.
I didn't hear you. You're cutting out. I'm sorry.
Hey, Debbie, let me welcome you. Welcome to the show, the Psychic and the Doc.
Hi. Thank you.
Hey, how can we help you today? I'm going to turn you over to Mark first, if that's okay for you.
That's fine.
Hey, Debbie, how you doing? What can I help you with?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great.
We talked before. We have had quite a few passings, and 3 of the major ones where we lost 3 kids from 16 to 19. I'm just wondering if any of them would like to give us a message. Or anyone
excuse me, Debbie, I don't mean to interrupt, but I got a spirit coming through of a younger male, and there's a younger male, and he looks to be like, his build was like thin to medium. Okay, so it wasn't like, real big, or it wasn't obese, but I get like a thinner build to him. But I'm tasting a lot of blood. Now, sorry, I don't mean to be graphic, but they give me how they passed, and I'm tasting a lot of blood, and I'm getting impact sensation to my head, not just to the front of my face and forehead, but also to the left side of my head, left ear. And I feel that this came upon him like out of the blue. It feels like this was a traumatic passing. He said he didn't see it coming. It happened like within seconds. Does this make any sense to you?
Yes, it does. My son.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
My son.
Okay. Hold on.
16 motorcycle accident.
Okay. Hold on. Yeah, he said he knows that you know that this was not intentional on his part. He said, let's just get past that. He goes, Mom, it was a total accident. All right. But he's also talking about the front wheel. I don't know if it was bald or the road was slick or wet, but he's explaining to me there was a lack of traction. There was a reduced amount of friction, which prevented him from being able to properly compensate and navigate away from this hazard. And your son was really smart, is what I'm getting. It looks like he had this ability to put together things really quickly, look at a situation, assess it, and that's what, for the most part, made him a good motorcycle driver, is because he could, identify, predict, decide, execute really quickly. But this time it didn't work because of the lack of traction friction on the front end of his motorcycle. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, let's see what message.
He had one of those. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
On the
Go ahead.
bike that when it hit, it stops and the bike keeps on going. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they call it.
No, that's fine. Let's see what message he has for you. He said, wow, he's over there with 16 other people connected to you. You really have had a lot of passings. Okay. Yes. And is your mother on the other side? And before you say anything, there is a female energy that feels to him like a grandmother figure coming through. And what I'm getting with her, I feel like my lungs are filling up with fluid and I'm gasping for breath, like that. And this would be an indication that she could have had a lung disease, or there could have been something like a congestive heart failure, because lung disease and congestive heart failure feel very similar to me. I'm also getting this weird sensation at the back of my throat, my palate. So she could have been intubated, because I was getting this whole weird difficulty swallowing. Does any of this resonate with you?
Yes, my mother.
Okay, your mom, your son's grandmom. Okay, and she said, "Sweetie, we're fine. Sweetie, we're fine. Sweetie, we're fine. And sweetie, we're fine." Okay, so apparently, sweetie, we're fine. And I'm not being funny the way, but she is hilarious. Your mother was hilarious. Does that make sense to you?
Right. Yes.
Hey, what's a Drambuie? Drambuie, that's a liqueur. She showed me a bottle of Drambuie. I know what Drambuie smells like. I think it's a liqueur made in like Jamaica or the Caribbean. Is there something about the liqueur Drambuie which would make any sense to you?
Yeah, because I have drank Drambuie.
You drink Drambuie. Okay, let me explain to you why that's so important. Is when a spirit gives us a message of an explanatory or advisory nature. Your mom popped in and said, "Sweetie, we're fine." We, meaning collectively, which not only includes her, but also your son, and now these 15 other spirits connected to her and to your son. She said that we're fine. And then that's the advice and explanation. And then when the spirit follows that up with an objectively verifiable fact, Drambuie, and you drink Drambuie, that is how the spirits are letting you and I know that we've properly received and interpreted the message. That's something that they do with me because they know I like validation. And they now, it's interesting, the spirits want Dr. Pat to give you a message of encouragement for Thanksgiving. Wow, very specific.
Wow.
Yeah. Let me just say this, and I'm not sure how much of this is true. Those of us that ride motorcycles, and I grew up riding motorcycles, there's a technique we learn called laying down the bike. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Do you know what I'm referencing?
I think he tried to lay it down.
Exactly, he did. He did.
That thing
and
underneath it, he went forward and the bike stopped, basically.
That's right. That's right. And the message for Thanksgiving is no matter what is in front of you, don't stop going forward. Now that seems odd because it resulted in something that's so painful. Right. But he tried to put that bike down. And for those of us that have done this, and believe me, I know what it's like to try to put the bike down. It's a term, right? When you know something's going to happen and you literally learn how to lay the bike down, how to put the bike down. I mean, it's a technique. Sometimes it works, but it doesn't take very much for it not to work.
Right.
And he is a forward guy, right? Is that true? Do you know what I mean when I say forward? Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. I don't know if he was born in December or not. I don't know. I don't know why that. I don't know why I'm getting that. But the message for Thanksgiving is the following.
Pardon?
The message that I want to give you
Okay.
is
Thank you.
you are more powerful than you know. You are the glue. I'm right, right?
Right.
You're the glue.
Yep.
You're the glue. You've got really broad shoulders. You carry the weight. But this Thanksgiving, this is the message for you to move forward with ease and grace, to move forward in the slide and glide of life. And I say that even though I know what's going on around us, I say that because you're being asked to set a new energy into your closest environment. Now, that to me means your family, your friends. I'm not sure who Thanksgiving's going to be with for you this year. But there's something they want you to do different than what you did last year, but I don't know what that's in relationship to. Do you?
Can I add something?
Please.
Sure.
Okay, because during all this and everything that's been going on, we had planned Thanksgiving, but one of my daughters contracted COVID, and she's been pretty sick. And then her husband just got diagnosed, and he's positive also, and he had just had cancer surgery probably about 3 months ago. So everything's kind of up in the air with us right now. But I am planning. I still have children at home, and I got grandkids, so I'm doing something.
Can I say something to you? And this is the hit I'm getting. So this gentleman, right? He was forward, but he was forward thinking. Does that make sense to you? Forward thinking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a forward thinking message is to think about what we all might do to do something different for Thanksgiving. Let me tell you let me give you a tip. So one of the things I'm thinking about, because I'm like, we're in the same boat. We're all in the same boat here, right? So I'm thinking about how can we use our favorite Zoom? How can we do something and create, even if I'm eating my Thanksgiving deal over here, my sweet potato pie, wherever I'm doing over here, how can I do that? How can we be on this venue just like if you're on Facebook watching us? How can we do this? How can we bring our food, our blessings to the table? How can we create a family Zoom with and my mama was from the South, so I'm talking collard greens, sweet potato pie. So how can I bring that to the table with my friend's Norwegian something or other going on there? So this is the message to create something you've not done before.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We cannot let this disease stop us from loving each other.
Right.
I refuse to let that happen.
Nope.
Okay.
Who's Tommy? I know we all know somebody named Tom or hold on.
Somebody on the other side helping me.
Yeah, I think Mark's got who that is. Go ahead, Mark.
All right, I keep hearing, and I know we all know somebody named Tommy, but I keep hearing Tommy. Tommy sometimes could be Johnny or it could be Tony, but it really sounds like Tommy. Tommy keeps coming through. Does that make any sense to you?
I know a Tommy, but he's not directly connected.
He's on the other side? The other side means he has passed. When I say here, I mean this world. If I say over there, the other side, I mean, in spirit form. You're straining and struggling too hard. Don't do that. Okay, but I'm picking up on spirit, somebody with the name Tommy. And what the spirits collectively want you to know is actually they're following up on what Dr. Pat said. They're telling you that you want to be not only the glue, but have this big family Thanksgiving. And they're telling you don't do it this year. Don't do it this year. This year you can skip it. This year will be the best thing if you can skip this. And they gave me a pomegranate. Okay. Now that's an unusual fruit. Anything about a pomegranate would make sense to you in any way?
Yeah, a lot of my kids like the pomegranate and the juice.
And there is the verifiable fact following the message. So we properly received and interpreted the message.
Yes.
Most of us, myself included, I'm from an Italian family. We like all getting together and eating and talking loud and laughing and singing and all of that. But this year, not so much. And your spirits on the other side are telling you not to put yourself through that. And like what Pat said, do something different. Okay. Even if you could do something where, and I don't know where you live, if you could even eat it outside, like buffet style, where everybody is, social distance. But basically, what they're telling me is following up. That's why they wanted Dr. Pat to give the message. Is do something different this year, and if you have to skip it, then skip it.
Yeah, Tommy. Is Tommy a tech guy?
God, I've had so many people pass.
Yeah, so here's what this is what I want to leave you with. There's somebody that is a tech person. They don't have to be like an expert or a programmer, but somebody really technical savvy that could set the whole family Zoom thing up for you. You know who it is. You need to ask them now.
Right. Maybe some of my sons, because I'm not real good on the computer.
That's it. You need to ask your sons now. You need to say, I want to connect with my people. I don't want to do things that's really going to put anybody at risk. We can do a Zoom Thanksgiving. You can tell people what to cook. I mean, look, you're the family leader. You get to call the shots this year.
That would work with me.
You got it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Man, I'm thinking about doing the same thing. That was a great idea. Thank you for calling in. Let's take a short break.
Real quick, Dr. Pat, you said you're thinking of doing the same thing. Spirits, when they give a message, it's for the caller, but the message is from the collective consciousness of intertwined spirits. And it's for more than just the caller, more than for you or more than for me. And I've been receiving messages actually since the end of 2019 about how this year was going to stand apart from years before. And this is the year, this is not a hoax. This is a very real and dangerous situation. And we can forego eating dinner with family members for 1 year. So the message is not just for the caller, but for everybody.
Yeah, and what I want to say to that is just because you're not going to eat dinner with them personally, you do not have to eat it alone. There's a difference. Zoom. There's a whole lot of ways for you to do it. Some people are forming family Thanksgiving Facebook groups, Mark. What they're doing is they're going over and they're saying, I got my family Facebook group, and they're doing a thing over there. And so here's what I want to say. Kathy, by the way, please call back. I know you hung up, but we're here for you and we're here for everybody. We're going to be here for another 28 minutes. 1-800-930-2819. And Louise, thank you for your comment. We've adjusted the music. I love you. We're going to take a short break. Everybody give us a call. 1-800-930-2819. And now I know for sure I got to make that sweet potato pie. Oh my God, it's got sugar in it. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Psychic and the Doc. And I'm here with Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer, and I'm Dr. Pat, the host of the Dr. Pat Show. And this is our debut show. We have stretched it to a second hour because we are getting back to Kathy. She is going to get right on here. But before we do, Mark, how do people find out about you? Tell us about how they get your books. And most importantly, we're just cranking it up for the holidays. I don't know about you, but people start to call me for all sorts of things. What about you?
They do. The holidays are very, very difficult, particularly after the passing of a loved one. The first holidays are the worst, and the second round isn't exactly a picnic either. And on my website, evidenceofeternity.com, please go to the blog section because I have a blog on coping with loss during the holidays. And people can find out about scheduling a reading with me and also about upcoming episodes of The Psychic and the Doc and other events that I'll be conducting, and that's all at my website, evidenceofeternity.com.
And if you want to find out about me right now until my site is finished, go to the drpatshow.com. David, do we have Kathy?
Yes, we do. Kathy, you're on with Dr. Pat and Mark Anthony on the Psychic and the Doc Show.
Hey, Kathy. Kathy, are you there? Because I know you're from Jersey. How are?
Yep,
Can you
I'm
hear me?
here.
Okay.
I'm here.
All right. Great to meet you.
Hi.
What can we do for you today?
Hi. I actually had. I'm here.
How can Mark help you and maybe me? Go ahead.
Hi. I actually called in because of the music situation on one of the calls. It was overpowering what was actually being said. But I decided to stay on and see if there were any messages that were for me.
Yeah, I think we need to fix that. Thank you. So, people are saying that somehow the music should not be playing while we're talking. So we'll check into that like ASAP. Not quite sure how that's happening, but we'll fix that up. But now that you called in, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can hear fine. It was fixed after I spoke with someone. It was playing from the commercials, I guess.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
I know.
yeah, and Kathy, thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, we're working it out.
Yeah, we're going to get all the bugs worked out in this show, right, Pat?
It's fine now.
I know.
So Kathy, let me open up and see. All right, male energy coming through, and what I'm getting with him is a draining sensation going through my body. Now, what a draining sensation indicates is that his passing was not a quick event, and certain medical conditions like cancer, tuberculosis, other types of massive infections throughout the body. And I'm focusing on infection, and I'm really feeling something like a sepsis. Wow, this gentleman had a lot of issues. I'm getting problems in the kidneys, a lot of low back pain. Poor guy was having a lot of urinary tract, bladder issues, pretty much everything from the rib cage south. This guy was having a lot of difficulty with. And once again, the draining sensation through my body. And he's showing me like all over his arms. I'm seeing these deep purple and blue spots. Could very well be a cancerous condition, but I want to be careful about jumping to any conclusions just yet. And he's explained to me, Kathy, that you were a source of great benefit, aid, and comfort to him while he was declining. Does this make any sense to you?
I'm trying to think if that could have been my father, but...
Okay, all right. Why do you think this could be your father? Go ahead.
Well, he did. It was a quick process, though, from diagnosis to death was 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Oh, sorry. My bad. When I say that people had a long, slow decline, people tend to think that was like 2-3 years. A long, slow decline could be like 2 months, could be a couple weeks. Basically, the draining sensation, it comes upon you and starts. So, okay. And Joseph. He keeps showing me, hold on. He showed me an image of Saint Joseph. I was raised Catholic, and I receive a lot of Catholic images of imagery and saints to help convey a particular message. So it could be somebody connected to you or him. Doesn't necessarily have to be him, but a significant connection to the name Joseph. However, images of Saint Joseph.
It is his middle name.
I'm sorry?
It's his middle name.
Well, that'll work. That works. Also, another possible meaning, in addition to that was his middle name, is it could indicate that St. Joseph's patron saint of carpentry. This could indicate that you may be either buying or selling a piece of property or contemplating it or doing some type of remodeling work. And the interesting thing is, I feel like I just walked into the lumber section at like Lowe's or Home Depot because I'm selling fresh cut timber. All right, you're laughing. How does that make sense?
I've been, oh my God, I've been wanting to remodel my house forever, and we think about it, and we never get anywhere with it.
Oh, I think you're going to be getting somewhere with it because, I mean, I'm smelling some serious lumber here. And the funny thing with your dad, he just he's accessing a memory in my brain, a quote from Walt Disney. And what he said was, there's a time to stop talking and a time to start doing. So that I'm laughing because your dad's actually quoting Walt Disney, and that's one of the main messages he wants to give to you.
Oh my God, I could definitely take that. I talk a lot of talk about doing so many things, and that's just it. They're just thoughts, and I don't really act on them. Things that I need to be doing.
Well, the thing is, your relationship with your dad, he was a take charge kind of guy, and he would have said the same thing to you, Kathy, we just have to get this done, and we got to get it done now. And the message that I'm getting, and Pat, please follow up on this, is that one of the life lessons you have to learn is to quote Walt Disney, to stop talking and start doing. In other words, the baton has now been passed to you, Kathy, and you're the one that has to take charge of these family situations and these other scenarios and make sure it gets done.
I do. Family situations, yeah, I'm like head in charge of it, and it really is a lot of stress.
You think? Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm the only one that's keeping my family going, you know? It's rough, but I know what you're saying, and I know what he's trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Hey, can I ask you a question, Kathy?
Sure.
What does Manville, New Jersey mean to you?
What town?
Manville.
Sandra?
Manville. M-A-N-V, V as in Victor. Central Jersey, Manville. Greenbrook.
Oh, Manville.
Denellen.
Well, I'm in North Jersey, but I know my husband plays in a band, and at one point he did play a place down in Manville, but that's the only connection that I could think of down there.
That's a yes.
That's you
and
your husband. Yeah, your husband and I have that in common. Once upon a time, I thought I was going to be a rock star, but guess what? Can't sing a note.
My husband's been playing since he was 5.
Manville, that's it. I don't know why I brought that up.
Yeah, that is weird because it was one instance that he played there, and then we never went back again. It wasn't a really good experience.
No, it's not a good experience, but it would. Yeah. So, would I be too forward to ask you the year?
I don't even know if I could venture a guess. I think it was in the 80s.
Yeah.
84?
Yeah.
It's possible. I don't know. It was really a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I want to help you with the remodel. Do you have a minute?
Yeah. We have plenty of time for you guys.
All right. So I don't know if this is a thing, but are you worried about the cost of the remodel? Or somebody is worried about the cost if it's not you?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course I am. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you want a good kitchen.
Oh my God, the kitchen is what I need. It's not big enough.
Yeah.
We can't even fit ourselves in it, regardless of, we can't even really have anybody over because we can't fit anybody. It's been the talk.
No, let me tell you this,
sister.
You ready for this? Us Jersey girls, when it comes to our kitchen, we deserve our kitchen. That's the end. That's the message. So here's the deal. Start with putting your priority down and saying, I need this kitchen. We all need the kitchen. Because you have a vision for the kitchen. I don't know how you got the vision. That's Mark's area, but you have a vision. You know what you want. You have a sense of how you want it. And you're worried about, is it going to be disruptive? Is it going to cost too much? It's not. It's going to increase the resale of your house, number one, like through the roof, just let me say.
Right.
But this is like whoever Mark was talking to right there, this is one of these. This is not even, you know what, and get off the pot. That's not even the message. The message is there is no pot. This is for you to just take action. So I'm going to give you something to do. You ready?
Yes.
And it's not hard. Have you started to talk to people that can help you do the remodel?
No, because my husband is more interested in getting our backyard done, so we kind of
It's the winter.
I know, but I've been trying to get somebody that we had only one person come, and then they never showed back up for the yard. But that seems to be his priority, and the kitchen kind of feels like mine.
But let me give you a little something. Does your kitchen window, where does your kitchen window face? The current kitchen window, because you know you got to expand that room, right?
I have 2 kitchen windows. One goes to the driveway outside, and the other one goes actually onto a add-on porch that was here.
Okay. Any of it overlook the backyard or touch the backyard? Because here's the thing I want to help your husband with, because I went through this. Whenever you take on a remodel, you don't do your yard ever. I will tell you, and you can tell your husband this, the most money I've ever spent was, it's got to be a Jersey thing. The most money I ever spent was doing my yard first, then getting them to come in and do the remodel in the kitchen. And you're thinking, the yard, nobody, why would you mess with the yard? It's a kitchen.
That's how I think. That's exactly what I feel.
They literally ruined. I spent $3,000 on the yard. And then they're like, I got to take the thing and bring it in. We can't put the thing. We got to extend your roof. Now we got to get this bigger equipment. And I'm like, you're on my yard. So if you can share this with your husband, this is not wanting to do the yard. He will pay to get the yard redone if you don't do the kitchen first. And that is not a careless thing. Sometimes they run into a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They can't put the window in because you got the window, so they got to drive that window truck, that big thing, and they're going to run across his yard with their big fat tires, and he is going to have such agita watching this, thinking he's going to direct them. Then they're going to run over the bush that your husband just put in, the special pear tree or something he just put in. They're going to knock that thing over, and then they're going to just like, oopsie, we don't know why, but the tractor just keeps on going.
And strictly from the male perspective, guys, there's only like 3 things we ever think about, and food is in the top 3, okay? The backyard isn't. So remind your husband that when you have this incredible kitchen, how he's going to get your incredible cooking in a way that he never has.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you, I come from gardening Italian people. My Uncle Ralph had this, everything was cement except he had a garden in the Bronx. We're from the Bronx. And I will tell you this, there's nothing worse than having, and this is, I only know about the men, than having a man put so much care into the yard and the garden and pick out this and make it look nice and maybe have a patio, who knows, maybe he wants a pool, I don't know. And then to have a giant front loader destroy it in about 10 minutes.
It's true. It's true.
The kitchen comes now.
Kitchen comes first. Yep.
Kathy, I hope that helps. I hope I'm not going to get you into trouble with your husband, but you could tell him to call me.
Well, here's the thing. Happy wife, happy life, and you'll be happy if you get your kitchen.
And happy backyard. My gosh, it's going to cost a fortune to do it to begin with. And not only that, they will have to come across something that you don't expect. And you're going to watch him crying his eyes out. All right,
and
Kathy,
I feel you
thank
spend
you.
more time. You spend more time inside the house anyway, to me anyway.
Yeah, my aunt never won that argument.
Kathy, your father's spirit wants to leave you. It's interesting. We're getting all these with an image of Saint Francis of Assisi. Okay, so there could be a Fran or a Frank, or there could be an image in that backyard of a Saint Francis. But he wants to leave you with that image. So does that make any sense to you?
Well, he is the saint of animals.
Right.
Francis of Assisi.
May I give you some insight?
Excuse me?
Can I tell you what St. Francis does? This is for your husband. Mark is right on. You ready for this?
Go ahead.
You two ready for this?
Yep.
It's my favorite prayer of all time. You ready? I'm going to actually say it. Can I take a minute to say it to you?
I would
Mark,
love you
do you
to.
mind?
Go right ahead. That's one of my favorites too.
Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be
Be
consoled
consoled,
as to
to
console,
console,
to be
to be
understood
understood,
as to
to
understand,
understand,
to be
to love,
loved as to love.
to love.
For it is in the
It's in
giving that we
giving we
receive, it is in
receive,
the pardoning that we
pardoning
are
we are
pardoned,
pardoned.
and it is in
It
the
is in the
dying that we
dying
are
that we are
born to eternal life.
eternal life. Amen.
This is a prayer
Amen.
of peace. That should definitely be for your husband.
Wow. We used to sing this, and we both went to the same Catholic grammar school, and we used to
Yeah.
sing this in school all the time. They had us singing it all the time,
That's
so I'm
it.
very familiar with with it as a song.
Well, there you go.
All right.
And that's
Kathy,
why your father brought it through.
exactly. Thank you, Mark. That was brilliant. Kathy, thank you so much. And I'm not kidding. You can have your husband call me, and I'll tell you what, I'll tell him the whole backyard story and how much and by the way, it cost me $3,000 to get it done the first time. Do you know what it cost me to get it done the second time because of what they did?
How much?
4,500.
Oh my
$3,000
God.
the first time, but because everything was so chewed up and the big holes with the big tractor and the front loader, just have him call me. Thank
Wow.
you, Kathy.
My goodness. You're welcome. And Mark Anthony, I just wanted to say I've been seeing your advertisements and your name coming through my Facebook feed all the time, and I'm finally glad that I got a chance to talk to you. And I'm just glad that I saw it come through to get on here. And I thank you both.
Well, thank you, and we look forward to hearing from you again and tuning in to the Psychic and the Doc.
Okay. Take care. Have a great
Thanks,
holiday.
Kathy.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Wow, Mark, what a great, and thank you, Mark, for being so flexible and really letting us do a 2-hour debut show. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. And, for all the listeners, keep tuning into the Psychic and the Doc, your practical paranormal power unleashed. And the thing is, tonight was wonderful because every caller was different. Every situation was different. And, I think every one of us can relate to these people and what they're going through.
And I just want to give a message. Arlene, thank you for your question. We'll do a better job of what we're posting. And no, it's not over. The Psychic and the Doc show should have been over, but it's not. And it is 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I apologize. We'll do a better job at posting the times. And, we'll make sure this is our first show. We're working out the kinks here. And every week we are going to be on. And I think what Mark, myself, Rocky, Linda, and Jessica are going to have to contemplate right now is whether or not it's going to be a 1-hour show or not. But right now, at the moment, it's 1 hour. But we're going to make sure we hold the space so that we don't let anybody out without helping. Right, Mark? Don't you think?
Right. I because that's the point of the show.
Mark, I want to ask you one more time. How do people find out about you? How do they get your books? How do they schedule time with you? Any events you want to talk about? And then also, what's your personal message? What would you like to leave us with?
Well, first off, my website, evidenceofeternity.com. Sign up for my newsletter. You can schedule a one-on-one phone session with me and mention the Psychic and the Doc. You'll be eligible for reduced fee. Session. I'll be on ERRT radio show tomorrow night. You can find out about that on my website. And Saturday night, I'm doing a special Halloween special on an internet TV program called Saturday Night Alive. And I'll be talking about the history of Halloween, also the mouth of hell, which was actually an archaeological discovery in Turkey. So I'm not going to give any spoiler alerts on that. So visit evidenceofeternity.com, which is my website. My personal message is that, a lot of people think that this time of year, because it's Halloween, the veil between this side and the other side is somehow closer. It isn't. Our loved ones are always near. They're always a heartbeat, a blink away, because they're pure energy and they move at the speed of light. And they are never alone. They're never sad because energy doesn't get old. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get sick. It doesn't die. We are the ones who are suffering. We are the ones living in the material world. And even though we may not feel this, and even though it may not seem like it, every day that we are living in the material world is a gift, a challenge, and an opportunity to do something to make this world a better place.
Well, thank you. And I want to thank everybody. If you want to find out more about me, you certainly can go to the Dr. Pat Show and drpatshow.com, and you'll find out what the schedule is in Transformation Talk Radio. And I just want to leave everybody with, one of my favorite teachers, Viktor Frankl, who, if there's anybody I wish I would have interviewed, it's him. The message that I remember, and one that changed my life, is this: love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. No one can become fully aware of the very best essence of another being unless he loves him or her. By his love, he is enabled to see the essential traits and the features and the beloved person. And even more, he sees that which is potential in him or her, which is not yet actualized. That is the potential, not yet actualized. Furthermore, this is what Frankl says: by his love, the loving person enables the beloved person to actualize these potentials. In other words, love creates a ripple effect of love. Even that love for whom you believe might be your enemy. It's an energy. We all have it. Live it, breathe it, love it. We'll see you next time.